All right, everybody, welcome to the 5,413th meeting of the Rotary Club of San Jose. As you have undoubtedly noticed by now, I am not President Karen Philbrick. This is not her horrible Halloween costume. I'm past President Sal Pizarro. Karen was feeling under the weather today, so I offered to fill in for her. We'd like to thank the Rotary Care Committee, which chaired by Rose Simmons and Terry Austin. Rose also feeling under the weather today, for greeting us in the lobby. And right now, let's bring up Sarah Klisch to have a little singing. Let's sing.
I encourage and welcome all of you to stand with me, please, to sing. See if I can pick a key that most of you can sing in today. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And so let's see. Up next, I want to thank the Military Care and Refugee Support Committee for hosting tables in the lobby today. And of course, we're going to thank Lindley Zink for a sweet treat. If you didn't get overstuffed with sugar on Halloween last night, we have this beautiful little pumpkin tart available to everyone over there next to the coffee. So be sure to get one and thank Lindley if you see him. He just was here briefly to drop them off and scampered off, so you'll have to catch him next time. And of course, we want to wish a happy birthday to all those celebrating this week. That's a good list, including past President Bert George and past President Carl Silker. So let's give them all a nice round of applause. Okay, next we have our traveling microphones. If I could have David and Kirk please stand up and introduce themselves. David, let's start with you.
Thank you, Sal. David Heindel, business is HotWorks Infrared Fitness Studio. My sponsor is Tim and Sandra Gill.
Fantastic. And Kirk?
Thanks, President Sal. Kirk Wallachevich, I'm a CPA, and my sponsor is Heather Lerner.
Heather Lerner. President-elect Heather Lerner. Okay, if visiting Rotarians or Rotarians with guests could please stand up and we'll get you introduced. And start on this side and move over. I think we're going to be starting with past President Brian Adams.
Good afternoon, past President Sal. Good to see you. Brian Adams, classification, education, and a proud Spartan.
Yeah.
Go Spartans. Welcome, Madam President. Thank you for being with us. It's my pleasure to once again introduce my guest, Kim Hill, who is a professor at Santa Clara University and is the chair of that fine institution's theater and dance department. Kim Hill. Kim?
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us, Kim. Okay.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Amy Pizarro from Notre Dame High School, and I'm pleased to introduce our new head of school, Ashley Ray Mathis.
Welcome, Ashley Ray. Nice greeting there, Mrs. Pizarro.
President Sal, Rick Alpers, construction. Boy, what a great meeting for the Spartans, huh? Anyway, I have my daughter-in-law, Julia Halpern Jackson, works at the university writer and copy editor. Go Spartans.
Great to see you again, Julia. Ray.
Former President Sal, Ray Castañeda, and my guest today is Maria Salazar Mancia, that name, that's a new one to me. And she's visiting from Morgan Hill.
Wonderful. Welcome, Maria. Great to have you here. Brenda.
Hi, President, past President Sal. I have Hekmat Esos, here with me today. We works with a small security company, not cybersecurity, but regular security like doors and things like that. And he's actually on his 4th meeting, and he submitted his application today.
Wonderful. Great to hear. Mr. Towery.
Past President Sal, I'm Jim Towery, retired judge, and my guest today is Lynn Anderson. Lynn is retired after a 40-year career as HP. She left as a senior VP, and she has the good fortune to be my next-door neighbor.
Oh, Chappie.
Hi, President Sal. Chappie Jones, a recovering politician. And I'd like to introduce one of my favorite former colleagues, Deb Davis, who's council member for District 6. And before I get into trouble, I also want to say that Councilmember Foley and Cohen are also 2 of my favorite council members.
Of course they are. Great to have you here, Deb. And
Is that that table?
you know, now that Chappie's not on the council anymore, there's no Brown Act violation.
All right. I'd like to introduce the favorite COVID cop in our house, Dr. Gloria Duffy.
Dr. Duffy, great to have you here as always. And probably a good time to remind you, it is November, and if you're unaware, in Santa Clara County, masks are now required in medical facilities, including clinics, hospitals, dentist's office, or whatever. So get those masks back out because we're going to be needing them. And that's going to last. It's a seasonal thing that lasts through the spring. So good to remember. Okay, past President Rod Diridon, if you could come right back up here, you're going to introduce our newest member, who also happens to be today's speaker. But we're going to give her 2 introductions today. I'm amazed she wasn't handling the traveling microphone, too. Come on up. Rod Diridon, yet another member of the Lions Club.
Thank you, Mr. President, twice removed. And it's nice that you could represent Karen. I hope she's okay. I'm not going to duplicate the bio that you have on your table, so please scan through that. It's remarkable. This young lady, and I look at her and I see a little kid, but she has had 30 years already in higher education with her bachelor's, master's, and a PhD or an EDD behind her already, and president of the Texas campus at Austin and San Antonio, and so on and so on. And she comes to us as a seasoned leader, yet she's still just a youngster. And it's so nice to have, we haven't had it since Bob Corrett and that dynasty of presidents, a person reaching out into the community to make sure the town-gown relationship is strong. And she really believes in it. That, and she just stresses the success of young people on the campus. The experience is more than just education. It's also leadership training and community involvement. And I keep thinking of her as a young lady. This seasoned academic leader is here to lead us into a new period of excellence at San Jose State University. It was with great pleasure that this person, whose family has 10 degrees from San Jose State University, has the opportunity of introducing the newest Rotarian to you, Dr. Cynthia Teniente-Matson.
Well, thank you. I think it's really my honor and privilege to be sponsored and be part of the Rod Squad. I've got my Rod Squad ribbon to show it. I'm delighted to be here this afternoon. My name is Cynthia Teniente-Matson, and yes, I've been here for 10 months as president at San Jose State University, and I look forward to our conversation today. Thank you.
See you in a few minutes, yep. And let me tell you, it's only been 10 months, but it feels like you have really made a huge year's worth of impact on San Jose State so far. Everybody talks about you, Dr. Teniente-Matson, so thrilled to have you as part of our club. Okay. Next up, we have not Rose Simmons, but we do have Terry Austin coming up here with JP Sahi to talk about Rotocare. So come on up.
Thanks, Al. Before we get started on our 3 minutes of inspiration, I want to welcome and thank for being here Dr. Bruce Frumbach. Dr. Frumbach is the medical director for San Jose's Rotocare program. So thank you. Great, wonderful work. Wonderful work. Also like to introduce JP Sahi. JP is the CEO for Bay Area Rotocare, and she's going to be talking with us in a couple of minutes. But the purpose of today's meeting and us appearing at today's meeting is to one more time give you something to get excited about with respect to the expansion of Rotocare and the involvement of the next big project, which of course we're looking forward to in early 2024. And also use it as an opportunity to thank some people who are critical to the success of the current Rotocare program in downtown San Jose. And I'm not sure that. Yeah, okay. So we have. Oh, sorry.
Don't be afraid of the mic.
Okay. In any event, I'm going to turn it over now. The recognition, and we're going to make sure that you have this recognition at hand, is for the restaurants that we depend upon to provide food to our volunteers when the San Jose Clinic meets. And so those organizations are at this point not represented here, but will be, and what we need to do is get the information into a more larger context so that we can provide the appropriate level of thanks. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to JP, who's going to talk to us about the next big project and where we are with that.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's glad to be back, and thank you. So I want to give a quick update on the next big project, and I recognize quite a few folks in the audience. So it was great working with this club, and the mobile clinic has been ordered. We are almost halfway through the process, and we're looking at a spring 2024 launch for it. So once it gets close to being launched, I will be coming back and inviting the Rotary Club to the launch party. And we're working diligently with Catholic Charities and Order of Malta. We have every 2-week meetings now to start the operations of the next clinic. So I appreciate everything that this club did to make the project go through, and to each and every one of those who used to meet Friday mornings at 7:30 in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you again to the local partners and restaurants who've been helping to feed our volunteers for Rotocare. That's more important than you realize. All right, next we have a membership value proposition update from Karen Fox. Karen, come on up.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Fox, representing the membership committee chaired by Matt Bell. I want to thank everyone who has helped bring new members into our Rotary family this year. Today I want to talk about a marketing tool that could help us do even better. So first, identify our target segments, such as small business owners, young professionals, and retirees, just to name a few. And second, we want to personalize our message using value propositions. A value proposition is a simple statement that answers a question, why should my prospect join Rotary? And moreover, a value proposition is our selling points that address what's in it for them. So for example, small business owners can benefit from business development and networking and community engagement. Young professionals can develop leadership skills, connect with mentors, and also engage in community service that aligns with their interests. Retirees can find social activities. They can also have renewed purpose and continued community involvement. So in summary, use value propositions to create compelling, audience-specific messages. To help you reach different target groups, I've provided some examples, some sheets of examples at each table, and feel free to ask me any questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And as you all know, our members are our biggest advocates for getting new members, so that's something really great to think about as we think about who could be part of our club and who in our community isn't part of our club and should be. All right, another great tradition we have in our club is Ring the Bell, and I'm encouraging any and all of you to share your good news for $100 that will go to our endowment. So let's get this started. If we can get Dave and Kirk up with the mics, who has some news to share? Don't be shy. Kathleen Thomas, start us off.
Hi, President Salles, or past President Salles. Nice to see you.
I answer to both.
I have 2 rings today. One in honor of Dr. Kevin Calvert, who was our family dentist for 35 years, who passed away suddenly and had very gentle hands and an open heart. So anyway.
Oh,
and
sorry.
the second one is a ring. After 8 years of marriage to their dad, I finally met my 2 stepsons in Mexico City. So that was very nice.
Congratulations, 2 rings.
Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Robin. I would like to ring the bell one time for my friend and neighbor and Rotary sponsor, Mike Conniff, to say congrats on being invited again to lecture on a cruise ship, and bon voyage this evening, safe travels, and we can't wait to hear about how it went when you get back in a couple weeks.
Indeed. 1 ring for Mike. Have a great trip. Ray.
President Sal Racine Castañeda, San Jose State graduate. That's where I met my wife during the Chicano movement a few years ago. Ring the bell twice for all my grandsons, grandkids. He's a sophomore at Baylor, and then Nina Bella is a senior at SMU, and then we have another one on the way in January. I left my grandson crying when I left this morning. That hurt. But anyhow, my daughter also in Gilroy is the new athletic director for Pacific Point Christian School. Thank you.
Wonderful news. 2 rings. Sarah Klisch.
Past President Sal, 1 ring to celebrate the fact that I have been cast in the 58th annual San Jose Dance Theater's Nutcracker, going on at the Center for the Performing Arts December 8th through 10th. I will be the grandmother in the first act party scene, going back to the company I danced with many years ago. So.
You're not old enough to be a grandmother. But San Jose's longest running Nutcracker, yay. 1 ring. Randy Zeckman.
Past President Sal, Randy Zeckman. 2 rings for me for my 2 daughters. The first one who turns 16 shortly and has been practicing driving and will be on the roads terrorizing all of you very shortly. She also attends Notre Dame, so I guess it's for our guest here today. And my second ring is for my younger daughter, Shay, who's 12 years old, and she and I successfully traveled to and survived Burning Man last month.
Boy, that's definitely worth a ring. Alan Williams.
Hello, past President Sal. I'd like to ring the bell for my son who just announced his long-awaited engagement to his girlfriend, Maddie. So now they're fiancés.
Who was waiting the longest? Her, him, or you?
They were pre-engaged for the longest time.
Congratulations to them. Past President Rod Diridon.
Mr. President, I'm ringing the bell one time for Dr. Gloria Duffy's Commonwealth Club that's hosting the Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation Multi-Stakeholder Forum in San Francisco on November 10th to 13th. It's the largest gathering in San Francisco since the signing of the United Nations agreement back in the 1940s. And the president's going to be coming, as will the president of China, and it should be one remarkable gathering under the auspices of the Commonwealth Club.
Couldn't think of a better group to do it.
Sal.
Yep. Oh, we're going to Kai Kai first. We'll get there.
Oh.
Kai Kai.
Hello. Sorry, I might
No.
asking too much. I'm asking for 5 bells because it's sounds no big deal. I recently passed the high school equivalent exams, but thank you. The reason I'm asking for 5 is a 50-year stream with 5 subjects.
Wonderful. You'll get your 5. And now Janica.
Thank you, Sal. I just want to ring the bell once for the amazing educational institutions we are so fortunate to have in our community and have represented here, from Notre Dame High School, Santa Clara University, where my parents went, and San Jose State University, where my parents and my brothers and myself all went. So thank you to all of our educators.
Okay. Steve Ellenberg.
Past President Sal, good to see you up on the podium again. I'm going to ring the bell once for our good friend and our my sponsoree, the Honorable Jim Towery, who is being honored tonight by the Santa Clara County Bar Association on Judges Night for his great service, both as a judge and as a lawyer, and it's a well-deserved honor, so please ring the bell once for me.
Congratulations, Jim.
President Sal.
Elizabeth Monley.
I would like to ring the bell once for our amazing Culinary and Hospitality Committee, who went way over the top Saturday night for a dinner for those of us that purchased it at auction last year. That's once for Culinary and Hospitality, and once for the most generous man I know in the Valley, Bert George.
I had a feeling that name was coming up.
Hello, past President Sal. Ron Zrake back here.
Hello,
on
Ron.
your left. Janica, thank you so much for recognizing all those wonderful educational institutions, but I heard a terrible groan coming from this table over here. So I would like to ring the bell once for Bellarmine.
Past President Fernando.
Past President Sal, I'd like to ring a bell once for the new head of Notre Dame, where 7 of my family have attended, and once for our new president at San Jose State, where I and my wife first met.
Wonderful. A lot of Spartan connections here today. I love it. Any more? Okay, going once, going twice. Well, thank you all for supporting our foundation and having all that wonderful news. Okay, moving on to some president's announcements that are not mine, but Karen's, but they're all very important. We do have the Veterans Day Parade coming up November 11th. It's always November 11th on Saturday. You can sign up to join us outside at the tables. Some of you did that earlier. Looks like we've got a great group coming up. Also, the office is planning to issue a new membership directory in the new year. So please email Marie with any contact info updates, or if your employer has changed, as soon as possible, so we can get the most accurate information out to our members. And of course, something else you may want to update are your photos, since some of the photos, I think, are older than some of our younger members. We'd like to know what you look like now so we can recognize you. The photography committee will be here to take your picture on November 15th and November 29th before each meeting starting at 11:30 a.m. Okay, we've got another fun and friendship hike at Calero Park coming up November 19th. Email Ashley Hopkins Pass to RSVP. That looks like a good one, and I think there's usually some wine involved in these things, so that should be a fun little hike up and back. Let's see, Maggie let me know about this one. The Rotary Rose Parade float the theme has been chosen. It's clean water, the music of life. Of course, that'll be in the Rose Parade New Year's Day. We're always proud to be watching and cheering on Rotary International with their participation. Yeah, that duck is no Discovery duck, but it's made out of plants, so what can I do? And I think you said there was a pin for President Karen. We'll make sure she gets it. Let's see, next week, we've got table topics. Are you interested in getting to know your fellow Rotarians better? So come early next week, 11:45 a.m., and pull a random table number to be assigned to a table and get to talk with some Rotarians that you may not have met before. I have not done this before. I may try to get here early next week to do that. And let's see. And some fun information about our club was recently included in the San Jose Water Company Bulletin, which featured our club's support of Washington School. And that mailing went out to 250,000 residents, so people are getting our good news along with their water bill, but they like our news better. Okay, look at that. We're on time, and I'd like to ask Janica Clem to come back up here to introduce our speaker, and she's going to have a conversation with our speaker, President Teniente-Matson. Come on up, Janica.
Everyone, it's nice to see you all. Janica Clem with Heritage Bank and a San Jose State alum, as you've heard, and also I'm really proud to share that I'm also the president of the San Jose State Alumni Association.
Yay.
So
alums.
Yes, a lot of alums. In fact, that was going to be the first thing I wanted to see, because we've heard from so many Spartans. How many of you are Spartans or have family members who are graduates of San Jose State? Woohoo. You are in good company today. Welcome. Well, I am so honored to be speaking today with San Jose State's new president, Dr. Cynthia Teniente-Matson. And just a little bit, you heard from Rod about her background, but she was in the CSU system at Fresno for several years as the CFO and VP for administration before she moved on to become the second president of Texas A&M in San Antonio, where that school actually earned their designation as a Hispanic serving institution from the Department of Education, which San Jose State also has that designation. So I want to ask a little bit more about what that means for our institution. But what I thought would be interesting to start off with is female leadership. What I find really interesting is that in the CSU, 12 of the 23 presidents in the CSU are females, as is our CSU chancellor. At San Jose State, 6 of the 9 deans are female. So as our first female Latina president of San Jose State, I think that having more women in leadership creates opportunities to look differently at systems. So I'm wondering how you feel about female leadership throughout the CSU system and at SJSU and how that has influenced our institution and our students.
Well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me today, and again, go Spartans. So what I would say, it's really an honor to hold this very important position here and a privilege at San Jose State University. And I think as we look at gender identity and gender fluidity, the whole notion of gender studies is taking on a whole new revelation about how we think about leadership. But it is still very impactful to see women and women of color in leadership positions, as we do with our new chancellor, Dr. Mildred Garcia, who just started on October 1. I think we're really looking at the entire experience for all students, particularly female students who are performing at much higher levels, earning more degrees, and really thinking about what does that leadership pipeline look like into other professions, which we still see lags in numbers. There are still barriers for women at the CEO corporate level. There's still barriers for women in technology. We'll talk a little bit more about that today as well.
As well as pay equity.
And pay equity.
That is something that there are a lot of people in our community that are working on here locally at the state and national level. So I think let's ground ourselves in what's happening at San Jose State. So some very interesting and compelling statistics on San Jose State that we should all be really proud of show the impact of this university and its alumni on our local, regional, and national economy. So I wanted to have, the president would like to show a few slides to give you some grounding in some of those statistics. So we have got,
okay,
there we go.
You see Sammy Spartan there. You know, one of the interesting things that has been happening for those of you that are alumni in the room is to recognize the value of your degree is increasing. San Jose State University has been rising in the ranks, and this makes us incredibly proud. Just last month, the U.S. News and World Report rankings came out. While there's lots of, you can debate lots of different elements, we still get ranked by many sources. Rankings still matter. So in 15 states, that section of the United States is called the West by U.S. News and World Report. We were ranked #1 in the United States on the western side for best value. And the best value considers many factors that go into a degree, including the cost of education and the economic mobility that occurs from that. This is significant for us, and the first time we've been ranked as #1 best value. We've been ranked #2 for most innovative university and #3 for best colleges for veterans. These are significant. In the national rankings, so this is the West, on the national rankings, many of our academic programs, particularly in engineering, are also ranked in the top 10 in the entire United States. So I think that's worth a round of applause. Our students are coming from everywhere, and many parents and their students are looking at those credentials, or excuse me, those rankings as they think about where they're going to earn credentials. Let's talk for a moment about alumni. We are continuing to grow over 300,000 alumni in our current networks. And as we mentioned, our spring graduations are continuing to rise. They've increased by almost 50%, as you see here in the numbers. In 2013, we issued about 4,100 diplomas in the spring. In 2023, we had 10 graduation ceremonies. Over 6,000 diplomas were issued, one of the largest in the engineering schools in the country. We have many notable alumni, and since it is November 1st, just a few weeks ago, we recognized the Day of Activism on October 16th for Tommy Smith and John Carlos, where we recognize the stance they took against oppression, and we continue to bring students into that conversation and the importance of peaceful protest as we think about our community of the future, and that's been really important over the last couple of weeks. We have many other notable alumni placed all over the Silicon Valley, including rock stars, authors, and Peter Ubereth being recognized as one of the Time Men of the Year. I think there's one more. Economic impact. This is an area that we talk about a lot, and it should be important to our business community. SJSU generates about $4.1 billion annually in economic impact. Our spending supports about 25,000 jobs. For every dollar we receive in state funding, we return back $24 in economic output in the state of California. So the numbers really matter. And in terms of size, I think that's the last slide, Danica. In terms of size of institutions, we're in the top 5 for size across the CSU for our enrollment patterns. So many, many, many great things that we'll talk about today.
Absolutely, and I think it's really interesting to underline that $1 invested returns 24 to the economy. We've got lots of institutions that you can put lots of money into, and I just think that scale is really important for us to remember that our local university is creating that. So you've been here almost a year, as Sal mentioned, about 10 months now.
10 months.
And I am wondering, what has been the most surprising thing about San Jose in general, or San Jose State in specific?
Well, what I've been saying all over the community is San Jose State and the city of San Jose are the epicenter of the future, and the future is now. And having just moved back to California from Texas, I can tell you lots of places in Texas are trying to emulate what's happening here in Silicon Valley and what we're doing at our own public university. And sometimes when we're inside the academy, we forget these. I call it being inside the vortex. So the incredible accomplishments that are occurring by our faculty in terms of our research production and generation, our students themselves, our students come from all over the world, and they recognize not only the greatness of Silicon Valley, but San Jose State University, particularly in the engineering programs, but we're ranked and recognized in many other programs. Wall Street Journal ranks us as #1 in producing accountants and highest paid accountants across the entire United States, right here at San Jose State University. So yes, that's worthy of applause. The work we're doing also in generative AI and other forms of interdisciplinary research are really going to be critical over the next coming months and years in our partnerships and collaborations for all of us coming together as we think about this new world that we will be embarking on with generative AI.
Absolutely, and I think what's interesting is that the city, as the mayor has stated, is really putting a focus on AI as an industry. And so to know that they're in partnership with San Jose State and with other industry leaders, I think it is just going to raise the level of output for our students and for our local economy, especially our downtown.
Unequivocally, these are conversations we're having every day. And with major players all over, including NASA. So we think about space. We think about, San Jose State has an $80 million grant. We're the largest awardee for NASA in human factors and psychology in human factors in the United States, right here with us. And we were meeting with them last week. I was meeting with their center director about some other elements that are important to us as we think about high performance computing, quantum computing, and what those impacts will have not only here on planet Earth, but up in space. And it's happening right here at your public university.
Absolutely, which San Jose State and the state system is not seen as the leaders in research. However, people think of that as the UCs. However, there is so much research, both applied and not, coming out of San Jose State.
Mostly applied.
Yeah, mostly applied.
Yeah.
Coming out of San Jose State, I don't think people realize that.
So right now, I thought I had the number here with me. We have about $71 million in annual awards. That we rank #1 in research activity for a school that does not award doctorate degrees. So we have a few doctorates that are applied, but we're not considered a doctoral institution. Actually, we're working to change that, and you will see within the next 12 months, next review cycle, the Carnegie classifications, that we will move up to an R2 institution. We meet the criteria now for doctoral production as well as research expenditures. When we reach the R2 status, we'll drop somewhat in rank in terms of who we're competing with, but we'll still be in the top tier of research universities, and our goal will be to continue to look to becoming an R1 institution as we work to also award more doctoral degrees in other disciplines. Just this last legislative session, the state of California authorized the CSU, and the governor has now signed that, to begin to issue independent doctorates in programs that are specifically related to workforce development. So these are areas that will also help us generate not only the brain power, but more research dollars.
Absolutely, and I think that's fantastic. Speaking of designations for the university, so more than 70% of San Jose State's university student population are people of color. Yes. In fact, San Jose State has been designated, as I mentioned before, a Hispanic-serving institution. Can you speak to what that designation does for the university and why it's so important for San Jose State to embrace this vast diversity throughout the student population?
Yes, so we actually have 3 designations. We are a Hispanic-serving institution, which means, just by the numbers, over 25% of our students identify as Latino or Hispanic. our actual numbers are closer to 28%, but 25% is the bar for the designation from the federal government. The other is ANAPISI, which stands for Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander. We also have that designation. Almost 40% of our students self-identify in that category. So when you have more than one of those categories, you also earn the ranking of a minority serving institution. So we have all three of those designations. So what does that mean for us? Lots of things. First of all, it means that we're also eligible for very specific federal funding that is issued through a competitive process for institutions that meet those criterion. So we have a couple of HSI, Hispanic Serving Institution grants, that are helping to build the STEM pipeline that allows us to do work in elementary and middle schools and high schools for pipeline generation and creation that we are typically not funded for in the states. Most state governments don't fund for that. So there's a lot more alignment. That's one thing. But it also, really, we want to be not only Hispanic serving, we want to be Hispanic thriving institution. And so to do that, we know that there are students that are being left behind. So one of my primary objectives is also going to be, it is now and will continue to be, to increase our Hispanic serving population at our campus. And one of the challenges we have is our Hispanic and Latino students are not making the academic progress that they need to be college ready, particularly for high paying, high demand, high wage jobs. So this is more effort for us to reach back earlier and longer to create those pipelines for parents and children to be ready to come into an engineering program. So let me tell you why this is important. Our average engineering student coming into our program has over a 4.1 GPA. It's closer to 4.3. I don't remember the exact number.
Did anybody else have something like that?
Did any of you have a 4.3 GPA in high school? So what does that mean if you're from a low-income family? Or it might mean, or you're going to a lower-income school district, it might mean you're going to stub your toe. If you stub your toe in any particular class, particularly mathematics or science, you are not going to be competitive even if you're qualified to do that work at San Jose State University. So those are what we call impaction in the CSU, which means there's more students that want to come into our programs than what we have demand for, particularly in engineering, computer science, and the like. So it's a lot more work for us to think about what does equity look like in those scenarios. So it's a big part of what being Hispanic thriving means versus Hispanic serving institution.
I really appreciate that reframing and your focus on student populations that I think have been served okay, but really we need to start to uplift those populations, especially here in Silicon Valley, as we want to see a diverse workforce, which is what I'm curious about next is what you think the role of our Silicon Valley corporations and businesses are in helping with that workforce diversity and inclusion, especially for so many of our students are first generation.
So I don't have any quantitative data on this, so I'm going to give you some anecdotal evidence. So we know that more students that are graduating from San Jose State University from communities of color are making it into the tech industry. We know from data, if you looked at the Silicon Valley joint venture data, that we don't see communities of color moving into management and leadership roles at the same level as we do other populations, particularly in the African American Black community and the Latina community. Native American probably ranks at the very bottom. What I hear anecdotally and what I've experienced myself is our first generation college graduates. They get the degree, they might make it into that workforce, they're not sustaining. So if you looked at the investments that corporate enterprise is making in recruiting and bringing students in the front door, that is working well, but they are not sustaining. So one of the things that's really struck me through the pandemic, HBR, Harvard Business Review, has some good articles about this, and I also have 2 sons and a foster daughter who are in their early mid-20s and in the workforce. I have a very different perspective about what it means to be a first-generation professional. So we, I think, artificially look to our ERGs or our EAGs, the employee resource groups or the advocacy groups, to help provide that wraparound support services for first-gen professionals, and what it takes to be successful in the workforce. And that isn't really working.
No.
So if we think about our pipeline programs and the professional development and career development and what it takes to be an effective employee, there is not another support network. So what we hear anecdotally is happening in the review processes. Sometimes these students are showing up as, or professionals, excuse me, on their communication skills or their deliverables on projects as it relates to the wraparound pieces that we're providing in universities. So I think these are areas where even as alumni, we can do better. In our own career services programs, we can do better in this. And if any of you in the room have children, depending on your relationship with your children, I know I speak to my children about their workforce experiences. I also speak to my kids about their expectations at work, which sometimes are not realistic. If some of you have 20-somethings and 30-somethings, you know that the world of work is different. If they don't have that buffer. First-generation students don't necessarily have that buffer, or somebody saying to him, well, this is how you might think about talking to your boss, or this is how you might think about approaching these problems. This is how you might think about approaching your viewpoints or perspective and the things that we do collegially as partners in the workforce. Doesn't exist for first generation always. I don't want to be so blanket that it's universally applied, but I just want you to think about that. And that help is needed, and I think that's why we're seeing some of those turnover in those populations, and they're not getting through the throughput to rise to those levels.
Oh, I 100% agree. And then now you add more work from home, and these young employees who are just starting out are not getting any of that network, are not getting that social capital.
Right.
But
It's a very different world.
It is. But to be able to get there, we need outstanding faculty. We need to be able to have students have places to live. So a really critical piece, as we all know, in attracting faculty and retaining faculty and students is housing. So, and the availability of housing near campus.
Yes.
What have been some of the hurdles to make that happen? And what can you tell us that may lie ahead, including the Alquist building and the potential Hilton Signia Hotel?
Okay, well, let's just skip past hurdles because we don't have that much time.
Nope.
All right, let's talk about one of the areas that is on my priority list is expanding San Jose State's presence from the east side of downtown to the west side of downtown, and how we can help be part of the solution as an anchor partner downtown urban institution campus to help bring life to that. We need more housing. We have about 4,200 beds of which we serve our students. Earlier in the term, we had over 1,000 students on the wait list to get into housing. If you're anywhere around this downtown, you know students live all around the campus. So one of the thoughts we have is to look at existing properties that may easily convert into residential housing, and where can we make 1 + 1 = 3. So that is part of what has been reported on about the formerly Fairmont, now Signia property, the tower, and that potential becoming a leased property to the university. So we would not own it on the onset if the deal were to happen, where we would lease a property. And our goal is to bring about 800 students into the downtown corridor there on the west side along Paseo del San Antonio, where we already have presence with the Hammer Theater in what we're doing there. And we actually also lease some office space where we have placed some of our backroom functions like accounting and payroll in that downtown area, just a couple of blocks over from Signia. So the other thing we really need to think about differently in the cusp of higher education right now is almost to the same point I was talking about students, first generation students, communities of color. What employers are looking for is, you all know this, you want students to come in to be turnkey, be ready to work. Part of that is us bringing classrooms into corporate enterprises and into corporate facilities and helping students say this, you have to see it to be it. So students working in those corporate headquarters as students, having classes as students, being teammates with people that are in industry, actually really helps to build up self-efficacy. So some of the classrooms of the future will be in your corporate buildings, and we're looking to expand that in downtown with corporate partners.
Which I think is fantastic. Oh, go ahead.
Alquist, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get to Alquist. What I wanted to say about the corporate partners piece is, for a while there, many of our large tech firms didn't look to San Jose State, except for Apple, who 25% of their workforce came from San Jose State locally. But a lot of them didn't. They were only looking to the other institutions. I think that goes back to your first slide of showing the ranking of what kind of
Yes.
students we are graduating.
Yes.
Yes, they may have some more needs to get there, but I think we're starting to see firms look at San Jose State differently.
Absolutely. We have over 2,000 alumni at Apple's. We're one of their top producing employees. We have over 600 employees at Adobe, just right down the street. We have almost 200 employees at Zoom. So we have employees all over, alumni all over. I said employees, I meant alumni in those positions. So Alquist. So if you think about the strategy then that San Jose State moves further into downtown, if you imagine us somewhere along that corridor by Cesar Chavez Plaza on Paseo del San Antonio, the other opportunity is the Alquist facility, which you may know is a state venue that's in the process of being transferred to the university. And it's directly adjacent to the Hammer Theater, which we also co-operate. We co-operate that facility for the city and produce many of our own productions there, as well as other community productions in that venue. The thinking is, the big idea is, what if? What if we could convert that facility into housing? What if we would imagine ourselves 10 stories up, 8 stories up, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 apartments, beds, for graduate students, for faculty, for staff. And we have quite a few faculty and staff right now, around 100 or so of our 4,000 employees that actually live in the downtown area now already. So like 135, something like that, they self-identify. That we could really have a vibrant presence in downtown, which is one of the benefits of having a downtown urban campus. So you also want to have us living here and bringing vibrancy. So we want to see the marching band on a regular basis marching up and down Paseo del San Antonio, as well as on the sidelines of our football games, winning games. Performing, we have a lot of other talent and student groups that can perform throughout this area and really bring up the vibrancy. The other thing that I have floated to some of the ISDs is the thought of, if we can build that out, there's a lot of ifs here based on the cost of construction, this is a longer fuse, that we would also have a livable solution for K through 12 teachers. Who could have that partnership with San Jose State and have access to that affordable housing for teachers.
You just
So
mentioned
it's a
ISD.
big idea.
Let's do the acronym.
Independent school districts.
Thank you. Teacher housing, we could just spend the rest of the time talking about that. But other things that the university is doing, I'm so impressed with as Rod had mentioned, the town-gown relationship, the way that the university is really seeing itself as a major player and partner, not only in downtown, but throughout San Jose. There are other vacant spaces that are around. There are other opportunities for the university to spread out beyond its four walls, for others to come onto the university. Do you have any other highlights that you want to share?
Well, we have a HDCC, a Healthy Development Community Clinic at Oak Grove High School, for example. This was funded in part with some federal funding, some local funding, and some philanthropic dollars, which allows us to have a community center at a local high school. So back to what I said about Hispanic thriving, this isn't a college success center. It's about everything it takes to be successful in life. And you will see San Jose State expanding our outreach into other parts of the community to bring people in. We are no longer the kind of place where you must stumble to us. We must go to where you are for all of this work to be successful. So we're looking at many aspects.
I 100% agree. I've got one more question, then we've got a couple of moments for questions. But how can so many of our alumni in the room and around the area recommit to San Jose State? Of course, besides joining the Alumni Association, if you are not all life members, I encourage you to do so. But what other ways do you see alumni looking to engage and reconnect?
So career development, mentorship, creating opportunities for speaking engagements, sponsoring students. We have some students who need help just in encouragement, just to see you, to talk to you, to know that they can get there from here. So the alumni network is vital. And then that first job, that second job, that third job, our alumni are helping each other, but mentoring our students to be successful as well. We're always looking for opportunities to engage further in philanthropic support, so those sorts of door openings, inviting people from your university to events that are being held at your place of employment is really significant in opening doors and reconnecting, especially post-pandemic.
I agree. We have the opportunity for one, maybe two questions if they're quick, if we've got roving mics. And one other thing I want to highlight to you all is that San Jose State Alumni Association has the largest scholarship program in the CSU. So you should feel really proud of that. I hope you do consider supporting, but we are able to give out a lot of scholarships to our current students.
And
I
they
see-
need it.
Yeah. I see Matt Bell has his hand up. If he has got a question, we'll get you a mic.
President Teniente-Matson, Matt
Yes.
Bell, proud alumnus.
Thank you.
Class of 19. But you talked about, so for a long time I've been involved with helping first generation kids, you know, get through high school, college, and get into the workforce. But that challenge that you alluded to earlier is helping them be successful once they get there, and then also helping companies do a better job of creating that sense of belonging, which is, I
Yes.
think, one of the things you're talking about. Isn't there an opportunity for San Jose State to be a real leader in this area, helping not only the kids be prepared and have the tools, but helping the companies do a better
Yes.
job of accommodating them?
I absolutely think so. This is something we know how to do with our career centers, with our faculty, with that mentor connection, even peer mentor. I mean, peer mentors works the best. Peer mentors work the best in high school. They work the best for freshmen. They work the best for retention. There's no doubt in my mind that they would work as well for these types of engagement. We have not dabbled into that conversation yet because I've been talking to CHROs who have been telling me we can't figure out why we have a turnover rate in this area. So I've heard it enough times now to know that there is a theme and a pattern. And like I said, I've read some things in HBR, but also connecting it with my own children. They lost a lot during this pandemic. If you think about a graduate who graduated from school and their first job was via online, their orientation, nobody knew what they were doing. They really didn't know what they were doing. It's tough. Yes.
Yeah, hi, we have a Zoom question. Does the change of student loan forgiveness policy impact enrollment at San Jose State? Why or why not?
The change in student loan forgiveness policy, I presume we're talking about the Biden administration's consideration of loan forgiveness. Well, it may change enrollment if students have loans that they're expecting to have forgiven to come back for a second degree or a graduate degree.
Kathleen?
So Janica and I are on the Silicon Valley Leadership Foundation board, and I would think that would be a great place for San Jose State to work with. Is there anything going on with the leadership group?
SVLG, SVLF? SVLG. Yes, with Ahmad Thomas's group, absolutely. In fact, I just had dinner there a couple nights ago with one of the roundtables. So we are actually, in our own membership with SVLG, we are really looking to our academic deans and other department experts to be involved with the three-prong approach that is now the COEs, I've forgotten what it stands for.
Centers of Excellence.
Centers of Excellence, thank you. And their business case studies, what they're trying to do, and connecting them with some of our academic leaders to be involved in that. Earlier in the week, we hosted the ALF and SVLG joint discussion about the Silicon Valley Pain Index and what could be done there. So yes, we are very much opening up our doors for more engagement, and I am really pushing that into the rest of our community to be engaged with SVLGs.
SVLG and Joint Venture and the San Jose Chamber of Commerce, and there's lots of organizations that we see not only our president at, but also some of her leadership team at. The university is much more visible, I think. You can see it from a visibility standpoint at the airport, on banners around town,
Yes.
but also sitting at the right tables too, which I think is fantastic.
Well, thank you to our elected officials who are in the room for the support on the more banners around the communities. We have a jointly funded budget item that San Jose State University must be more present and visible.
Last question.
President Cynthia?
Yes.
Mike Chappie,
Hi,
alumni.
Mike. Hi, Mike.
You had mentioned housing shortages and what have you, and there's still, I think, a couple brick dormitories left from even when I was in college there. Is there any plans to demolish and bring those up as a high-rise, or?
So in our long-term master plan, the answer to that is yes. One of the reasons that we need other housing is we can't break something trying to fix something. So we need temporary housing for those individuals while we bring property offline. But you're right, we have some aged facilities, and we're working to improve those. So needing the more inventory is critical. And yes, we do want to demo and go up. Just the cost of construction is exorbitant right now. So it's holding us back in many ways. But it is on our drawing board.
For those developers in the room, you can feel that because we are all feeling that as we try to get more housing in our community. I just want to send a warm welcome and a gratitude to you for all you have started to do in your 10 months. I am thrilled that you are here, that you are a part of our community, and now you are a Rotarian as well.
Yes.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. And a donation has been made in your name to Loaves and Fishes, which is helping to keep our county fed. So next week, our speaker will be Dr. Stephanie Greer, speaking on mental health and the family. I don't know what President Karen's final thoughts were going to be, but in light of the fact that she's not here today because she's ill, I'd just like to ask all of you to do what you can to stay healthy, get your flu shots. It's not just COVID, it's the flu. We want to see you all happy and healthy in the new year. So thanks for putting up with me today, and meeting adjourned.